we're set on a guest here right now. We have Lisa Orme has just come into the studio. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have a good Christmas?
I did have a good Christmas. I hope everybody out there had a Merry Christmas. I can't believe it. It just goes so fast.
It does, and it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
we had our grandkids over home. My goodness, by the time they left, I was just worn out.
You know, we all went together. We were all in one house for, I had all of my kids and grandkids and for 3 or 4 days together. And yesterday when I got home, I was ready to sleep for a week.
yeah. You know, that it is exhausting, but it's just so much fun to watch the kids on Christmas.
It is.
They have such a joy on their face when that happens. It's a good thing.
Well, and it's just fun to, I think that's the longest we've had everybody in the same house together for a long, long time, so that was fun. And I mean, some had to come and go, but we had a lot of time together and it was really fun. I think that's what the holidays are about anyway, isn't it?
I agree. I agree with that. It's but it was nice to call in bed a little bit early last night and get a little sleep.
Everybody go home.
So what's going on in the world of real estate?
Well, first of all, I want to excuse Genene. I know last week we talked about she had knee surgery, and so she's out, and hopefully she'll be back with us. We won't be here next week, but after the week after next, we'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hometeam in Heber Valley at Davis Colemam Realty, we want to help you find what you're looking for. So both of us are willing and ready to go out and spend some time. I think, first of all, right now, I wanted to talk a little bit about buyers. Interest rates right now, let me just grab my 30-year fixed is 5.75, 15-year fixed is 5.25, FHA is 5.46.
So those numbers seem down from what I remember hearing.
Yeah, things have come down from where they were, and but what's happening right now, I think, is some of the economists are saying that it's going to go up. Some are saying it's going to go down, and so we don't really know. We're really, there's a lot of speculation that the rate went up a little bit, which the bond market affects it, and there's a whole bunch of variables, and so there's a lot of people saying it's going to go down. Like I said, some say that it's going to go up. So I want to talk to all those buyers out there, because right now I can tell you that during the holidays everything stopped. That's what happens, But starting the first of the year, people get antsy, they start planning, it's a new year, it's kind of a reset in a way, I believe. Every year it happens. People are anxious to, okay, the holidays are over, 2022's over, let's start looking, and they've got plans and they're moving on. So what that means is buyers are gonna start looking, which means that there'll be more demand for homes, which means that the prices will, the prices have been slowly going down, and in our valley slower than elsewhere. But that's going to stop when there's buyers that come in. And in my experience in 25 years, from October to the first of the year is always really dead and slow, especially from November to December. People don't want to move during the holidays. Right. They're focused on other things. They're focused on family.
Does the weather play a role in that? If it gets colder, do fewer people out looking for homes?
For sure.
So that's part of it.
More snow, fewer people looking for homes. People don't want to move in the snow. The years that we've had really light winters, more people are moving. You're absolutely right.
And we are forecast to have a little bit more snow in January, so.
Yeah, so, but people start in January, you have a 30 or a 60-day escrow, and so that puts them moving February or March, right. And that's perfect for a lot of the people just before school gets out, get settled, change things, get ready for summer. There's kind of like I said, a reset, or I don't know if there's a better word for that, but people get anxious once the first of the year comes and Christmas is over, get anxious to get moving on the next season, the next year.
Next thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
the next thing. And so looking at a buyer's market, or at a market for buyers right now, I know a lot of my clients who are saying, I'm gonna wait and see if the interest rates will come down. Well, if you wait and see if the interest rates come down, that's fine, but when the interest rates come down, the house prices are going to start going back up. There's going to be more demand, and those prices are gonna go back up. And the average home, what do you think the average life of a mortgage is?
The life of a mortgage, you mean of a 30-year mortgage? How long does it last?
Of somebody who, I mean, typically, if people
I
out there are getting mortgages, how long are they really in effect?
I would think 10 to 15 years.
Shorter. I think it's 4 to 7 years.
Really?
Yeah, the market, the real estate market, that people will tell you that everyone, the average of a home, of somebody buying a home is every 7 years.
Wow.
So
I'm not falling into that category.
Me either. There are some of us who stick. But so if you think about it, and the average right now I think is about 4 years from the statistics that I have. If you think about that, and you're waiting to get a lower rate so that you can pay less, and you're gonna either refi or pay it off and move or whatever in 4 to 7 years. You wait until the rate comes down, the price of your home goes up, and in the long run, it hurt you because you're paying more for the house and you're not gonna pay off that loan.
Right.
So the interest rate being lower is not really affecting it as much as it is, as we think it is.
Right. If you do decide to stay in your home for a while,
Mhm.
and you do refinance, how does that extra closing cost affect the mortgage rate?
It depends, honestly. It depends on, there are programs out there that will give you a discount if you refinance through the same person that your original was through. You know, when you go into it knowing you're paying a little bit higher interest rate and you're gonna watch for that refi, pick somebody who's going to share that cost with you. You know, yeah, absolutely, there can be costs to refi, but there's a lot that will, you know, offset that cost by going with that mortgage company now. You know, talk to them about what is your plan long term, which loan is going to be the best for you because you want to refi in 2 years or 5 years, or you know, maybe your credit will be better because your longevity on your job will be better, or maybe, you know, there's a lot of variables, and I think that's one really important thing for people to understand is if you don't have someone doing your mortgage that talks you through all of these issues, or will or can answer your questions, move on. There's some really good people out there, and ask for references from your realtor or from your friends, but talk to more than one, because there are a lot of people out there who do mortgages who are great, and there are a lot that are exceptional, and you want somebody who is really educated. If you're just going in and going to stay and that's your long-term thing, great. But if you need to know, this is my plan, and in 5 years I want to hopefully refi at a lower rate, or I want to watch for those rates, hopefully they're coming down. You've really got to have a plan. So look for someone who, I mean, I work with a few people, some that are really, really good.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What is the relationship? And this is coming from a guy who has bought one house, and I've lived there for over 30 years, and you know, so I haven't gone through this process a lot of times. What is the relationship between my real estate broker and my mortgage? how do you guys cross that bridge?
Well, I will tell you that there are some that I like to work with because I know they know their stuff. I have a couple of favorites. One was going to be here this morning with me, and I'll bring him another time and introduce him. But in the past, I've referred to one person or another, and if something goes bump, it's hard. So I usually give people more than one name, but there are some great mortgage people out there who are really educated, and I have one in particular. His name is Alan Blood, and he knows the statistics. So when I need to know statistics or what's going on or things that are different, I go to him. We have some great ones here in the Valley. I have worked with Tom Stone, and from a professional side, Tom Stone's office is good. Jamie Wright is awesome. There's some at the banks that are good. We all know those names of people who are really good and we have really good experiences with. So as far as a realtor, I do have my favorites, right, because I know when I call, I do enough with them that they'll take my calls, they'll walk me through whatever I need to,
if I'm as a shopper, I don't know that, I can turn to my real estate agent and say, hey, help guide me on this, help me get where I need to be.
And even if you're not my client, but you want some references on specifically what might fit your mold, please, I take that call all day, every day. I mean, there's a lot of you out there who know me, and maybe you've got a different realtor, but I would be happy to direct you to some of the people who I know who are really fabulous. So I know locally and not locally, there are people who don't, I'm trying to say this, well, I guess it doesn't matter, but people who don't want local, they're people they go to church with, knowing what their finances are like. Great. I know some people who don't know anybody here, but are safe. You want to know that you check it out. Yes.
Safe is important in this world of scams and illicit people. It's good to know that you're in somebody who's treating you honestly.
Yeah, and there are a few of those, and there are a few that if I hear the name, I kind of steer clear, because not everybody is 100% upfront and honest, and when you get to a closing with a client and the closing documents are different than what they expected, and they're at the closing table, you're at the title company, and the interest rate's higher than what was promised or whatever it is, they can say, no, I'm not going to sign this until it's fixed. But typically when they get to that point and they're supposed to be moving in and it's Friday, they sign it. And over the years I've seen that happen 3 or 4 times that I've told them, you know what, I wouldn't sign it. I'd get it fixed, and they go ahead and sign it and think they'll refi or whatever, and they have, and it's been okay.
But that refi is expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it cost them.
Right.
And it cost them, and it's unfair.
So you started out talking about the buyers in our community. What's the selection like right now in the Valley?
We have a lot on the market right now, more than for the last 3 years, and there is a lot of inventory out there. There's some great houses, but the thing about it is because there's so much, and because there's, instead of sitting for 4 or 5 days like we're sitting for 60 days on the market. So people are motivated. People who have to move, have to sell, have maybe a lot of these homes, there's some of these homes who they've been building a house for 2.5 years, and now that it's their time to sell, things have slowed down and the market's changed. So you've got some really motivated sellers, which doesn't matter what the interest rate is. If your seller's motivated and the price is going to come down, the difference that you get in price is going to offset any interest rate difference, because you can refinance in 4 or 5 years and take advantage of a lower interest rate.
Well, I'm glad we got people like you out there that know what's going on, because those of us that just dip our toe in, we just don't have the expertise in that, so we appreciate the guidance. Anything else you have for us today?
Yeah, you know what, I just, having what you just said, I just wanted to share with, everybody out there a few things. First of all, if you're a seller, sellers right now, there are a lot of sellers and buyers who think they don't need realtors. So I just wanted to educate a couple of things. First of all, buyers do not pay realtors. So if you are a buyer, do not call the agent on the sign of a house you drive by that you want. Because if you call the agent on the sign, and they're the ones that show you the house, they become a limited agent. Because then they represent the buyer and the seller, and they can't disclose 100% to either. So you do yourself a disservice. If you are a buyer, find a good agent before you find a house. Find an agent that you are comfortable with, that it's going to fight for you, that's going to negotiate the best for you, and help you get the best price for the best home for you. And it will not cost you any more, because the sellers pay the commission, not the buyers. So that is a misconception out there, that buyers will say, well, I don't need an agent. You do need an agent on both sides. And the reason you need an agent is because I've done this for a lot of years, and those scams that we're talking about, the things that come in from a mortgage company or from a buyer or seller, when you get into negotiations, there's a lot of things you don't know. And when they have a professional representing them, you need to have the same on your side, because otherwise it really puts you at a disadvantage on both sides.
Well, and for most of us, that's an area where we don't have expertise.
Yeah.
You know, because we're not doing it every day.
Well, like you said, you do it once. Even if you did it once every 7 years.
Yeah. That still doesn't
The
make you an
market-
expert.
Well, and the market changes,
Right.
things change, the scams change, the people that you can trust change. You know, they're in and out, people retire and move on. And so that is one big thing, is as a seller, find somebody good who will come in and help represent your house. If they don't come in and tell you need to make changes to make it really showable, and you've lived there a long time, you don't see your house the same as everybody else.
Right.
After you've lived there a long time. So that's a big deal for a seller side. And then on the buyer side, same thing. Somebody that will come in and have honest conversations with you, will have you pre-qualified. If you don't have an agent that gets you that makes you get pre-qualified before you go looking, you need a different agent. You don't know what you're gonna qualify for in this market, and they don't. So a guess is not fair.
So you need to do your homework up front before you ever start the search.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you think you qualify for a $400,000 house or a $600,000 house, let's say in our market, you think you qualify for a $600,000 house, and you tell your agent, yep, we're good up to 600,000, you know, I got online and looked. And then you get to the mortgage part, you get something under contract, and you get to the mortgage part and you go, oh, I can't pay that payment, they're not gonna qualify me for that. So all of a sudden, all of your time and the agent's time, but all of your time and emotion that you found your perfect house, and now you can't have it. And I think people can look at the mortgage calculators and all of the different things to see what they qualify for. And unless you get truly qualified, it's a disservice to you. You should get that number, know what you're looking for, know that you're not overpriced and looking for something you can't get into. I had someone who was right on the very edge, and we had a house under contract. I was representing the seller, they were the buyer, and interest rates bumped a little and it pushed them out, and they lost the house. And it was heartbreaking. They were ready to jump in and move, and it hurt both sides because the seller was building and needed to go. And so know that whoever you're working with has your back all the way around,
Right.
and that they're gonna protect you.
Well, it's a complex area, there's no doubt, and we'd be foolish to try to do that alone. You know,
Yeah.
we need to have some good solid help.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think, we haven't had any Midway. I try and give an update on Midway from the city council, and, but because of the holidays, I don't really have anything major except, the Midway Auto is gone. If you haven't been in Midway recently and you drive over, you're gonna be really shocked. That whole thing is clear.
Oh my gosh.
It's all gone, getting
Okay.
ready for that development that's coming in, which is, pulls on my heartstrings, cause Grant's cows used to be in that pasture, and, you know, the face of Midway has changed, and it's very sad, but we're trying to keep it as rural feeling as we can.
Yeah, I saw a post on Facebook yesterday about somebody wondering about these farmers spreading manure, and that, you know, they were due to Midway, and it's part of the life out there.
The thing that's funny about that is people move to a rural town, and then they're upset because
It's a rural lifestyle.
somebody I'm related to might get manure on the road as they're taking it. I'm not gonna say names, but, and then they drive over it, and then they don't like the smell, and so it's a fine line. It really is a
It's
fine
that
line.
transition that our valley's going through, it's a challenge.
Yep, and then we all love the rural feel, and in Midway, the voters bonded for open space and to keep farming and open space and animals out there. But some of those same people who voted for that then complain because they don't like the smell of a farm. So it's a very, it's a thin line. It's a really thin line, but there'll be some things coming up in Midway, and I think, there's a lot of good happening too.
There is, there's a lot of good stuff.
We were, Kim Gardner donated to the city, I think it's 46 acres, it might be 47, that will remain open space on the corridor coming in from Charleston.
Oh, that's nice.
And that will be nice. We're trying to figure out exactly how, you know,
How to use that,
Mhm. And so there's a lot of good things happening in Midway, and I hope to, once, you know, every week as we come in, to bring a little bit more. We'll bring real estate and bring a little bit of Midway. Genene is on the planning commission, and I'm on the city council in Midway, so we wanna bring some Midway
Sure,
information.
we appreciate that. Yeah, we had, Tom brought in, Mark Brower.
Yeah.
From the Heber City, and it's always good to get that information.
Matt,
Matt Brower. pardon me,
yeah.
Had the
Sorry, I
first
had to
two-
think for a
had
second.
the first two letters, right?
Yeah, but sorry, I just
That's right.
thought we should, yeah,
That's what
because I
happens
had to
with
think
old
for a
age.
second, yeah, and, you know, there's so much happening in our valley, and people who wanna know, what's going on, hopefully this is where they can get that
Sure.
information. Let me just throw out really quick, Davis Colemam Realty is on Main Street next to Walgreens. You can call, you can get online and Google us and get my phone number. It's Lisa Orme. City of Midway has my cell number, my
Sure.
office does. But please reach out and call. I'd love to educate anybody, and no strings attached. I would love to help you find what you're looking for.
Sounds great. Lisa, thank you so much for being in here.